Welcome back to Erin Makes Designs, where today I'm going to show you how I fix one of the most common and frustrating issues faced by 22-pin circular knitting machine owners. Don't worry, your machine isn't broken, nor is it user error. Actually, it's physics, and if you'd like to know why, then stick around till the end, and I'll explain it then. Right, the issue. You cast on, and as soon as you do, the yarn snags. Here's what I do. It only takes a few moments during the first 2 or 3 rows, and then you'll be off and cranking. If you enjoy this video, it would help me immensely if you like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Watch this prong here, the one that's to the left of the pin. This is where the yarn will snag when the pin begins to go back down as you approach the yarn guide. When it does, I use my needle to lift it back up and over the prong. I continue slowly turning, watching that prong and lifting the yarn back over when it snags. I keep doing this until the yarn no longer snags, and then you can crank as quickly as you like. There are several different ways to solve this snagging issue, but this one I've shown here is my favorite. Some people suggest casting on with waste yarn, but for me, this creates another problem to solve when you want to have a cinch closure, like the top of a hat. And others say to cast on very, very loosely, which works, but then makes a fiddly mess when you're following a pattern that calls for only a few rows. Some of my patterns only need 4 or 3 rows for some of the pieces. And if I have a loose cast on, then the ending is just way too loose and it's hard to figure out where all of my stitches are. So I really find this to be the most effective and simplest way of solving this issue. Please don't take your machines apart. Please don't file prongs. It's not necessary. That's not the problem. And as I said before, if you just hang on to the end of this little bit of a tutorial, I will explain why this happens. There, we're through that now, and you can crank as fast as you like, and you shouldn't see any more snagging. Thank you for getting to this point in the video. If you found it helpful, would you please think about giving me a like and a subscribe to help my channel grow and to help other people reach this video. Right, here's my quick little explanation as to why I think the issue arises with the 22-pin machine and not with the 46-pin. The design between the two machines are exactly the same. The pins are the same size, the prongs are the same size, the distance between these two bumps, I don't know what to call them, is exactly the same. The only difference between the machines is the distance around the circumference. Now, when the yarn is cast on and we start to knit, pressure, force, tension is created at each of the pins. Now, on the larger machines, that tension is shared between each pin over a greater distance, and therefore the tension is less. Whereas over on the 22-pin machine, the tension, the pressure, the force, is shared over a shorter distance. Therefore, it is greater at each pin. And that's why you see that as soon as you cast on and the pins start to pull down, the yarn will snag, usually around the same pin. And lots of people will think, well, there must be a little bit of roughness on my pin. I need to file it down. It's not that. It's just that the tension has started to be pulled onto the yarn and that it is too much, which is why we see that snagging. Again, if you have a really fibrous yarn, you will notice that that probably catches more, and that's due to the type of yarn. But the tension issue is why it starts to snag and why we don't see that on the larger machines. Now, once you've begun to knit and you've followed my method, The tension, once you get to the second, third row, doesn't seem like very much, but the tension starts to lessen at each pin because we have it being shared amongst the yarn that's already gone onto our machine. I don't really know how to explain that any differently, sorry. But that is why I believe we have the issue with the 22 pin, and we don't really see that happening on the larger machines.